So Brazil have banned Elon Musk's social media app X in a row over disinformation. The Alliance Defending Freedom has now intervened, calling on the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights to get involved and protect freedom of speech. The Alliance's work has been noticed by the ex-boss, who thanked the organisation for petitioning the Commission. With me now is the Senior Legal Communications Officer at the ADF, Lois McClatchy-Miller. Thanks very much for joining me. So some people might need some background to this, but what happened in Brazil?
Yeah, well, don't miss this, because Brazil is at the front lines of the global war on free speech.
Right.
What has happened in Brazil is really unprecedented for a Western country. Now, it actually began in 2019. Authorities began censoring voices that were critical of the government, of support for Donald Trump, support for Brexit, support for policies that were not approved by the government, various conservative voices as well who were giving out messages, the pro-life message, criticising materials going into schools, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And this built up, and now we have a situation where they asked Twitter, X, to censor those voices. Elon Musk and the company X said no, they wouldn't. And now X has been banned in Brazil. People are not able to access it. And if they do via a VPN, they can be fined thousands of dollars a day.
I mean, that's astonishing. So even if they use a VPN to go around the system, they will be fined extortionate amounts of money. But doesn't this mean that Brazil is joining the likes of North Korea, Iran, China? You know, this is not a gang that you want to be a member of,
That's
is it?
right. Yes, I mean, I was looking just before I came on the show about a list of countries who've also banned X in their countries, and I believe North Korea and China do grace that list of about 8 or 9 countries around the world. So it is shocking to see a Western democracy like Brazil join those ranks. But we shouldn't be too surprised, because if you have been tracking the censorship, particularly of tweets and of posts online around the world, you'll be noticing a trend towards this direction. Brazil are merely the first to get there, to ban X in a Western country.
We've seen The Guardian over the past month or so call for the arrest of Elon Musk, I think on 3 different occasions. And, of course, what Elon Musk has done is enabled free speech to flourish on the platform, which means that you see opinions you don't necessarily agree with all the time. That's the whole point. This troubles certain governments, doesn't it? Well,
no man has ever been more wanted for simply allowing people, citizens, to speak their mind and to engage in conversations. But as we know, the right to freedom of speech is a human right. It's baked into international human rights law, and that's why ADF International have asked the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights to intervene in this situation. And that's a top human rights body. It has jurisdiction over Brazil. Its entire function and purpose is to hold countries to account for their human rights record. And that's why it's so important that institutions like this is their time to act. This is free speech under pressure. This is human rights under pressure. If they have a role to play in this, the role is now, and they must act.
Because a lot of people can get complacent in this country and they say, well, we would never ban a social media platform in the UK, for instance. But do you envisage a time when that might be happening? Because I was just talking to Toby Young about the current Labour government's encroachments on free speech. There is a trend developing here.
There's certainly a trend. We've been marking it across Europe at ADF International. We've had cases all over the world that are moving towards this direction of censorship on Twitter. Think about Finland, you know, a very Western European nation. We're supporting the defence there of a grandmother and politician who has been on criminal trial for 5 years for a Bible verse tweet in 2019. Now, over in Australia, we've got Billboard Chris, known to many, I think, on this show. He tweeted criticism of the WHO's appointment of activists to articulate on gender policy for kids around the world. And now he's been censored in Australia. So more and more we are seeing governments clamp down on tweets. And if Brazil can get away with banning Twitter altogether, it would not surprise me if we see this flourishing across all these other countries who have endorsed censorship this far.